Hello and good evening. I am Ibrahim Sani and you're watching Market Talk. This is the end of 2017. In fact, Market Talk has been having an interesting year. So this episode will actually recap the whole experience and journey of the business world as well as the social world. Today, to examine how the year has been and what 2018 will hold for us is Syed Azmi, youth worker, currently quite famous in the NGO circles of the country. How are you doing, Syed?
Wait. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, let's talk about 2017. Has it been kind to you, and particularly other social workers out there?
To me, as a social worker, basically we feel that we have a lot of challenges. Okay, to recap a few, I think the ultimatum for the year was the Tafis case and all that, and so many questions arise, you know. So I guess that people are starting to learn, but there are so many NGOs, so many groups. So we normally do the normal thing like orphanage, homeless, elderly, but now we are looking into our youth, which is, I think, the segment market of it is very, very huge.
And it's not just in towns, in KL alone, you do a lot of work outside as well. Tell us a story about you working with many of these youth outside of the urban centres.
Well, basically, every sector of the country has different problem, okay? And it all depends on the infrastructure that the government actually have in all these other states. So whether do they actually fully utilize it, underutilize, whether they know about it, the facilities is the main problem. So a lot of players, a lot of group activists in all the other sectors are trying to actually see how can they play their role to actually help the youth. So we had a lot of discussion, a lot of meeting, a lot of meetup. But do we actually see a lot of action? So far, there's so many other things. There's flood and all the other relief programs. So we've all put our effort there. But we realized that aftermath of all these other things, where is the support? Where is the counseling? Where is all these places where they try to patch things up between people, family, youth, and all together?
Particularly when there is a post-traumatic event and you need a sustained sort of infrastructure to assist the victims and others.
Correct. So it can be everything. I know people know me very well, trying to be a great child advocacy issues. But then again, I realize, as I always say with my NGO, Puak Payung, that it takes a village to protect one child. So if I only focus on the children alone now, cannot, because I still need to look into their siblings, to their parents, to their teachers, to their peers. So with that,
and the society at large.
Yeah. So because of that, I realized that together we start to know so many network groups. We talk to so many people that sometimes we think it's not relevant. But then again, we have to remember that we talk to security companies and they say, what does that got to do with protecting children? And I say, it's not because you're protecting children per se, but you're also a parent. So, so that's how we see it, but at large. And then we realize in Malaysia, parents do not talk to their children above the age of 9. So then we realize that, there's another problem there. But we cannot just say that let's do parenting course. We can do this, we can do this. We cannot. We have to look into religious agencies. We have to look into government agencies and infrastructures. So with that, hopefully, this year, we managed to get more players.
Okay, let's talk about these many players out there. I'm not talking specifically just about the NGOs that you work with daily. I'm talking about governmental bodies as well. Has the government agencies and other bodies at the government level, whether it's federal or state, have they been useful and have they helped a lot in your work?
I have to admit, for this year, 2017, I have worked very well with the Ministry of Federal Territory, with the Ministry of Women, especially JKM in KL, Wilayah Persekutuan. We have a lot of discussion and we try to find out what are their facilities. And at first, we are trying to share what they have to the public, so that, because that's the first line. If you say that we have no money and things like that, or you need some financial aid, zakat, Baitul Mal is there, this one is that if you're Malaysian and all that. So we are trying to bridge. Dulu, what happened was we tried to do on our own, crowdfunding, give the money and all that. But then again, it doesn't sustain well. So, and somebody have to verify and validate all this. So we say that if the government agencies step in first and they say, okay, kita dah bantu, they say that, you know, but sometimes they cannot do everything. So this is where activists, NGOs and groups start to support. I mean, tak ada siapa kata you pergi JKM dapat kerja.
Okay.
correct? But you need shelter or you probably need financial aid for your children. Okay, yang tu ada up to 450 ringgit a month for KL. So I think that is something that we should look into as well, and that helps actually.
If the government has this infrastructure, why can't they execute it themselves? Why do we need players like you out there in the private sector to actually assist and bridge this gap between the bodies, the governmental bodies and the people who need it?
Dulu dah lama ada, okay? I admit benda ni dah lama ada, but we thought that they are slow, they are lazy, so many negative connotations lah. So, but in the end, I realised they actually have infrastructures as well. Dia ada Dewan, dia ada, you know, like LPPKN, ada hub in the middle of dekat Sogo sana for youth. I never know that. And then why youth semua, kita punya youth all pergi video games? You know, because then we realised, oh yang tu semua only office hours. So it doesn't work for that. So, but then again, they don't have enough resources to buka 24 hours.
Oh, I see.
But we finally know there is a place like that. Atau kita kata, so many other things that I think they really want to do it. And I have to admit that this year, the Kementerian Wilayah and also the JKMKL, they come up with funny taglines yang I rasa menarik sangatlah. We will see, I think it's going to grow bigger next year. One of it is called ROC, Reach Out Chowkit. It was created by pengarah JKMKL, and I thought that was amazing because they are ready to challenge themselves and to do something new.
And with this, we got to talk about your staffing as well. How many people do people work with you or for you? How do you operate?
Okay. I really want to lay low. I'll be 41 this coming 2018. But
here you are attending a TV show by laying low. Well done, Syed.
So, but the thing is, I want all my fellow peers to actually come out and actually do work together, because it doesn't need to be full-time. I have around 48 groups altogether under me. That consists probably around 30 to 40 players altogether. But I want them to be individuals as themselves. They're all working, they're all family, parents and all that. So we're trying to cultivate the best in them. So it doesn't mean that they will be known as social activists, but they are doing activism on its own, and hopefully nationwide. So that's how big we have right now. And nowadays, groups are amazing. We have groups that actually just translate postings to various languages. We found group. Yesterday, I just talked to a lot of groups saying next year we're going to find more people to donate wheelchairs and all that, and then we are just going to distribute it. There is even a group that I met a few years back and active until now. Their job is just to do transportation from one place to another, which I think that these are all basic necessities, but it costs money to fund buses and all that. But people are trying to give what they have. And I see 2018 is something more wonderful. If it works, that we are trying to promote people to work with existing agencies and to think of the bigger picture rather than, you know, a small pleasure and medal.
Yeah, and sort of like glory hunting. We'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about the world of social working. Tunggu anywhere. Welcome back to Market Talk. Again, this is a wrap-up of the 2017, a big year for many of us, and none other than Syed Azmi, youth worker operating in and out of KL. Syed, a few months back, the Minister of Religion, Datuk Sri Ashraf Wajdi, says that under the Rukun Negara, it is illegal for you to be an atheist, and everybody has to have a religion. Freedom to choose religion doesn't mean freedom from religion. That's what he said. And considering that the Christmas period is upon us and we're embracing the new year, and Malaysia is enshrining upon the religion aspect of every single one of us, it becomes critical for us to actually look at how religion works with social enterprises and with the society at large. I understand also that you do work with the Pejabat Mufti KL. Let's talk about your journey there, particularly with working with religious bodies like that.
Well, the thing is with me, regardless whatever it is, the community, our beneficiaries at large, they look highly upon our religious leader. Okay, not to say that I'm not, but basically I have to find a place where we have the same language. So I wanted to understand, and that's why I believe until today, yes, I work very well with Pejabat Mufti, and I was hoping 2018 would be better for me to work with JAKIM, regardless, because they have the public attention. So basically, we need to work together so that it can reach out. The Pejabat Mufti, when I first started, I have to admit that I was scared, because I don't know what's the right protocol, or probably certain issues that are not allowed to talk about. But surprisingly, Datuk Zul is much an open person.
This is Datuk Zul, the Mufti of KL.
Datuk Zul, Mufti of KL.
Yeah.
And I find him just like the next person. It's just that we have a certain degree of respect and protocol a bit. And he likes to know about what's happening in Kuala Lumpur in regards to anything, in regards to the Muslim as well, and what are the challenges outside. And why, even though it seems like why children doesn't want to go to sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning, there's kind of questions that we normally discuss, why aren't they there? So there's a lot of other entity. In all religious body, it doesn't matter. I'm very close also with the Archbishop of St. John, Father Julian Liao, and we also talk about the same thing. So we talk about, because they need to know every angle so that whatever they're preaching would be relevant. So if they cannot talk to just, because let's say for Muslim, kita pergi solat Jumaat, so they talk about everything under the sun. And Datuk Zul this year did one khutbah talking about protecting children, and that's big. And because he already know about the issue, so he can actually address it together. This is why, even though we don't see them joining us yet strongly, but they're interested and they're doing it in their own way, which is fine. Nobody says that it has to be one person, but everybody plays an important role. I'm going to say this out loud here. Datuk Zul now is a columnist in The Star, which I think is a big deal. Now he changed language into English medium. I think that's a step forward for all these kind of things.
Do you think that other muftis in this country and other religious leaders for that matter will take a step and follow in this pursuit to actually address the community at large and working with social workers like yourself? About
4 months ago, me and a small team of us, we actually called every Pejabat Mufti in the country. We just want to find out how we can go closer to you. Okay, the finding is not out yet. I was hoping to come out about maybe early January, but we wanted to find out how can we become closer to you regardless of the protocol, because then it would seem better. As I said, that it will come out next year, but a lot of them, they're quite happy when we call them up to ask, questions such as, where does the Mufti likes to lepak? Maybe... I mean, it's true, they're human too.
Yeah, okay.
So we receive few from certain states, which we're going to write in detail, saying that. And some of them, you want to see him pergi pasar hari Rabu. So he'll sit there for a roti canai, and then you can say hi to him there. I think that's brilliant. That's the human side of our Mufti that we want to see. It's not about asking them to have a one-liner and then splash it over the media. We don't want that. We want people to know that there's someone they can talk to.
Do they have the financial prowess and power and might to actually help out the society at large? We know that JAKIM has a billion ringgit budget from the recently announced budget. But does these many Jabatan Agama, do they have the necessary budget?
Do we actually need that money?
Yeah.
If you ask me, when we first started all social activity, we had no name, we have no funding, no money. But how that we survive is because of communication. It's about being human first.
Yeah.
So, to bertanya khabar, do you think you need money? You ingat nak pergi melawat penjara, you think we have to serve semua orang makan then we melawat penjara? No. So we always find another way to do things. And yes, if you ask me about the means, there's only one problem when I realized with Mufti's group of people, the timing. Even though it's per state, it's just not enough people to run around all masjid, for instance.
Okay.
So I do respect that, and that's one thing why we don't push it too much. But they actually come out with statements, or they're in their own Facebook media to talk about social issues. And I think that's a good step already. Whether their power is limited and things like that, it's not about that. We don't look at them as policymaker, forgive me if I'm wrong, but we don't look at them that way, minus the fatwa. But we look at them as being human first. So that's what we are trying to get.
Can we transpose this kind of outreach with other religions in the country as well? You were mentioning you were working with Father Julian Lau. Other religions, do they factor in your work?
Actually, I don't go to them directly, but I know their people are already available and always reaching out.
So we're looking for an activation, I don't know, agent here.
Well, basically, sometimes I was thinking we haven't done for a long time to get the public to actually visit a mosque, visit a church in one day, lompat excursion. We have not done yet. Yeah, maybe next year we should do something like that.
We should. Why not?
We should. You know, every time we do it with spiritual leaders, we do it with government official politicians, and then visit one-to-one. But what about public? What about the youth yang tak tahu pun pasal the things like this, you know, hijabs are like this. So they can actually do a one-day excursion macam kat Penang, semua dekat-dekat, they should have start. You know, but maybe people takut because we don't know whether what we want to say, what we want to do, correct ke tak, betul ke tidak, salah ke tidak. I think that's the issue. I mean, today I'm sure there's a lot of issue on Christmas Day, whether can Muslims say Selamat Hari Natal.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, let's skip to that.
Yeah.
But then again, I know my Mufti Wilayah say there's no problem to say Merry Christmas.
Okay.
So, and these are learning process. Biarlah lambat, but as long as there's a way to actually start this kind of conversation, it's more than welcome. They're more than just talking about tawhid, fiqh and everything.
Okay, we'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll discuss about the bridging of many of these institutions in the pursuit of serving the community. Don't go anywhere. Is dawning upon us. Of course, 2017 is an interesting year for many of us. Here to discuss this and more is Syed Azmi, youth worker, currently joining me for this very interesting discussion. What you do has attracted many followers, has attracted many people who want to help out, but there are also people that do not like what you are doing. In fact, the modern term of this, in fact, the technical term of this is called haters.
Haters.
How do you deal with your haters?
Haters is a specific group that we actually have to break it, in a sense of, this is the problem, you know, in social media, when you write and you get these haters, it's simply because they do not agree with your point, and they actually blast it out in a way that is just rude. That's how I put it. And that sometimes it's just because of the structure of the language. Or...
You're very polite, by the way. I'm so sorry about that.
But it's true because they can be my brother. I don't know. So the thing is, it's actually the context of the sentence that they don't agree. How do you deal with haters? It's mostly of the question that I get because I answer everything. I reply every messages that I can. And the thing is to explain again and again. Maybe not today, maybe the time again. However, 2017, I start blocking people. But I actually try to communicate with them first, saying that I don't think this is working out, so I have to block you because it's just toxic for me.
Does it impact how you do things, or does it improve the way you deliver things?
I do sense nowadays that people actually see how I deal with my haters. They do see certain remarks and then and how I reply, and most of them come back and say that I do like the way you talk back to them, even though you can just lash it out, you know, because it's your space. But it's all about da'wah, you know, trying to get a better discussion. You don't want to preach only to the same preacher, people. You see, so you wanted to have this diversity. They want to see a different point of view. So I guess that's how I deal with it. And I'm sure we'll get much more. And a lot of activists, the first thing I said that do not succumb to these haters, but look at that, like, why are they saying this way? That's how we keep on talking to other activists who feel a bit down whenever this happens.
Of course. Have you been ever subjected to any libel suit or sedition suit, that kind of stuff? I mean, has it gone to the courts? Have you taken things down the legal path in trying to protect your name and such like that?
Surprisingly, not this year though.
You say as if you're expecting it to be happening next year.
No, because I'm trying to lay low next year because it's more of the groundwork.
Yeah.
You see, so... Nothing.
Mobilizing 48 groups, as you mentioned earlier in the interview, must be a nightmare. I mean, I can only imagine 48 different types of people working 48 different types of banners, trying to serve as many communities as they can.
That's what it is. That's how it is, literally.
How do you pull it off? Are you pulling it off?
Well, we actually segregated 2 weeks. So basically on certain weeks, I just focus on about 10 or 15 maximum, see how it's going, because some of it we need time to see and collecting data and all that. We are trying to cut down on most of the things, but as I say, it's just interrelated. When people start talking to me saying that nowadays I found an NGO who's looking volunteers, elderly volunteers. They're looking only for elderly people to volunteer together. So I find it that, okay, this is good. So I cannot just leave one and focus. No, it's not possible. All I'm saying that it's interrelated. It sounded nice, 48, but to me, it's just one whole big family.
Okay, let's talk about your NGO, your very own, the one that you launched, and I attended actually. It was at a place in Damansara. Let's discuss about that. Why do you add a 49th in this big number of yours?
Puak Payung, it's called Puak Payung. Puak is pertubuhan untuk anak kita. Okay, so Puak and then Payung. Basically, it was supposed to be focusing on children per se, but doing what we've already been doing for the past 8 years, it covers all the other aspects as well. So basically, we just work with anyone. But in the end, it will boils down on how do you change that narration and education from a child level until to the big level. It's a bit vague at this point, simply because we like what we are trying to do here, but we also do not want to duplicate what others has been doing.
How do you avoid that? I'm pretty sure that the thing that you do the most effective is trying to get things on the ground, and you're tying groups with the government bodies, you're tying groups with the religious bodies. You have your own NGOs that you're actually coordinating. How do you ensure that the impact can be most maximum, particularly the learnings that you have understood in this year? How do you plan to practice it in next year?
People have to actually understand the process of trying to linkage with and all these kind of networking, government agencies, religious bodies. People will tend to call you a machai lah. That's to be honest, you know. And but the thing is, the more they hate you and push you, like, why are you doing this? They are useless. Is the more reason why you pull them in. And say that, okay, fine. You know what? Why not you go with this meeting and know with this person, and then you see how it goes? Because the thing is, what I'm doing is not new. Okay, there's so many other people who has been doing it way before me. Some succeeded, some not. But then again, I respect that, and I do understand their frustrations. And I'm not trying something new. It's just that we're trying to see from a different perspective. And the only thing that I would say different is that we are learning it together. We're not trying to create something new. That's the thing.
Okay, if there are many of them actually watching this either on our Astro channel, on our video on demand, many of them are actually on our app, on our YouTube, and they want to help out, they want to join in, and they want to contribute, particularly during this festive season. How do they reach out to you or the many groups that you work with?
Well, actually, if I can actually be very, very honest, this is a challenge that I would like to say to everyone. So we have, well, today is considered a holiday, and actually it's holiday until New Year.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of this free time with you. Why don't you try to knock 10 doors of your neighbors to introduce yourself that you guys are neighbors? That's the first thing. You can't fake it. You know, you cannot. If you go to an old folks' home, you can just, you know, smile for 2 hours and that's it. But with neighbours, you cannot do that. So personally, I'm trying to challenge Malaysians to actually try to know your neighbours, really, because we don't. And you say that he's not around all the time. That's no excuse. Knock door, you got like, what, 7 more days? So just start knocking doors. And if you really want to join me, you will find me. Our path will cross. I don't think that I think look out for me and things like that so much, because when you do good work, it can only escalate. It's like toxic, it's like a drug, and we will cross paths. People who do good, I tell you, I meet so many of them who does it their own way, but because of that, it's like a magnet to one another. But then again, if not, and you don't know how to start, or you're thinking about trying to advocate to other people, my Facebook is always open, and then the name Syed Azmi. I normally answer all messages related, and I think that's a good start.
Syed Azmi, thank you very much for joining me. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and so to you, viewers at home. You have joined us in a very fantastic year this year, particularly on all our business lines, including Market Talk, Marketplace, and Markets Today. You can watch this interview on any of our platforms, particularly on astroawani.com. You can even listen to this interview on your podcast. Simply search for Astro Awani wherever you search your podcasts. I'm Ibrahim Sani. Thanks for watching, and Happy New Year.